All right. Cool. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Let's see. If you can hear me, can you just put it in the chat? And then we will get started. So today we're going to do some free readings. We're going to do some Mystic Madness. We're going to do some, maybe it'll turn into a class. Maybe, hey, Bruno. Thanks so much for being here. Yeah. So let's start. I'm going to get into some readings today, but I want to start with, so this is called the Bliss of Being. And the bliss of being comes from just like reality and stuff. But specifically, I'm pulling from those two words, Chit and Ananda, from the Vedanta, from the Upanishads. Chit and Ananda. Chit is consciousness. I'm sorry, Sat and Ananda. Sat is being, existence, and Ananda is bliss. And Sat, Chit, and Ananda, consciousness, bliss, and existence are three words to describe Brahman, the absolute reality. And those are things I want to contextualize in the tarot practice today. And we're going to look at we're going to look at three layers to reading tarot. These three layers are always present because we just exist, and there are ways to analyze what we are. And when we bring them into a tarot reading, a lot of really cool things happen. And I find that usually when people read tarot, they are unconsciously and sometimes consciously working with some of these layers. But when you're doing it consciously, it's even better. It's really cool. So there's three layers I'm really going to look at today. There's what I'm going to call level 1, 2, and 3. Very simple. So if you want to take your notebook out, we'll have a small little class portion, and then we'll get into some readings. Because the readings I'm doing today are not going to be like traditional tarot reading forecasts. That will be included as well, but we're going to go a lot farther than that. Cool. So take your notebooks out. We're going to go over these three layers of being, of ourselves, these three pockets, these three garments, these three planes of existence, these three fun things, fun corridors, fun flights to play around. And then we'll do some readings. In the meantime, I'm going to give everyone homework. I want everyone to write in the chat. I want you to answer this question for me, if an answer comes. I want you to ask yourself this question. What is the one thing, if there was one thing that always existed, if there was one constant in your whole life that you never noticed because it was a constant, what would that be? So I'm going to give you just a weird example. One answer to that, a literal answer to that, the question is, what is the one constant that always existed in your life that you never noticed that you could notice right now? That's the question. I might answer that and say, okay, the colors of my cornea, right? Like my eyes, like the whatever membrane is over my eyes through which I see the world. Maybe it's tinted, and I never noticed that tint because my eyes were that's what they always have been looking through, right? Like if you were wearing shades your whole life, you would never recognize the shadeness. Hey, Yannicka. Hey, Irony. So the question is, what is the one thing that always was that maybe you never noticed? And I'd like you to just bring that into yourself and explore it for a bit and write it in the chat what that could be. And then we're going to go into a little bit of teaching stuff, and then I'll do some readings. So three levels that people read tarot on. Actually, most people only read it on level 1. Some people read, a lot of people read it on level 2. Level 3 is things get really wonky and interesting and fun. So level 1 is today I'm just going to call it the mechanical plane. And this is the physical body, the automatic reactions in the body, which, how we move, how we adjust, how we balance ourselves, our motor skills, hand-eye coordination. And also our somatic reactions to circumstance. So when we get really excited about something, when we see the piece of candy, the body gets like, go and get the thing. And then there is like the opposite of that would be like, oh my God, I can't believe that asshole just commented that on my video. Oh my God. And the body's like, hey, So the bodily reactions to things. So that's the first plane. It's mechanical, it's reactive. There's very obvious causality in the body. So that's level 1. And this also includes questions in tarot like, what is going to happen? Who am I going to meet? When is it going to happen? Where is my body going to be in space, in time, with who, doing what, all that stuff. So it's mechanical, like dominoes knocking into each other. So that's like the classic, I want a reading, I want to know my future, impress me by telling me my paths and impress me by telling me my present. And moving in space and time like that. So that's level 1. You can compare level 1 to what the Taittiriya Upanishad calls the Annamaya Kosha, which is the sheath of the body, the sheath of food. It's like that physical material moving through us. And I think you could probably correspond that to a Buddhist skanda, which is related to form and also feeling a little bit. And if you're taking my advanced tarot course, if you're taking my esoteric tarot course, or if you've taken them, you know that this is also corresponding to the nefesh, which is the part of the soul, the animal soul, which corresponds to the princesses and the pages in the tarot. So this is level 1. This is like base level, what we can all see with our eyes. This is the senses. This is the feeling. This is the body. So yeah. So then there's what I'm going to call for this session level 2, which is, I'm going to loosely call it mind, but it's the inner world. And level 2 is kind of I'm going to combine 2 levels in one. It's like the energy and the mind body. So in Taittiriya Upanishad, this is called the Pranamaya Kosha. And this is also there. Then there's also the Manomaya Kosha. There's the life force sheath, the body, that's the energy body. And then there's the mental body. So we have our physical body, our energy body, our mental body. For our purposes today, I'm combining the mental body and the energy body together. And there's a Buddhist skanda that corresponds to this, that has to do with perception and thinking and thought. So in this level, in a tarot reading, what we're looking at is what is happening in here in the inner experience that correlates to what's on stage. So this is the backstage of our life, right? This is our dreams, our inner world, our thoughts. And to really understand this, notice how the energy portion of this is the glue that keeps the mind and the body together. So there's the body that is moving through time, space. Then there's the mind that is operating in the backstages of reality to govern that. But the glue that keeps it together is the energy body, which you can really, I find you notice this in your somatic reactions to things, your bodily reactions to things, your feelings, right? The subconscious intelligence that's running the whole body is very much with the energy body, and that kind of leads the physical body to the mental body. Could you call that the elemental energy? That's a great question. The way that I'm going to set this up for you guys is, I would say the best way to do it, if you're a tarot reader, if you're familiar with the 4 elements, the best way to do it is earth, air, fire, water. I'm sorry, earth, air, and then water, and then fire. So earth is the material body. Air is the pervasive energy body and the mental body kind of together. And then above that, we'll get into water and fire next, but we're still at air. And just like the energy body and our awareness pervades the physical body, air kind of pervades earth. The relationship between air and earth is really, really cool, really interesting. So so we have our first level, which is the physical body, which is our normal kind of typical classical, like fortune telling. Where is my body going to be in space, in time, in the future? Give me the goods. I want to know, right? And then we have that next level, which is the mental inner world, that more the backstages of reality, which can be conscious, can be subconscious. And in this, I would say to take the pioneer that he was and just like squeeze him into 2 seconds, which is to take all of like Jungian's ideas, like the archetypes, the patterns, that is in level 2. So a lot of people today are exploring tarot and its relationship to level 2. Dreams, patterns, the subconscious. What does this mean? What's my inner experience? What's the archetype? What's the identity? But notice how all these things are kind of like the body, in that they have form, they have time, they come and go, and there's a finite nature to all these things. So in your dream, for example, you might be dreaming some crazy shit, but in that dream, there's a lot of similarities to the waking world. There's space, there's some sense of time, there's things that pop up and then they go away, there's patterns, there's emotion, there's feeling, there's all these things. That's level 2. And so a lot of tarot readers, we can go into level 2 and we can say things like, I am feeling this. I see you thinking, I see you feeling, I see you afraid, I see you excited. I am getting this energy, right? When people speak like that, when it's not so cemented in time, space, causality, and like prediction, then we're going into that level 2. Now, for me, the value of these planes increases as you go up, in my opinion. Not for everybody. Some people just want to know when, where, how, what do I need to look out for, what's his name, and when is he texting me back. So that's the level 1, which is totally cool too. But the level 2, let's say you're asking a love question. A level 1 question might be like, when is so and so going to text me back? When is his body going to reach for his phone and do the thing and that? Level 2 would be, what is he in my world? What is he in the client's world, right? What does he represent symbolically, emotionally, in terms of patterns, in terms of their dreams and their karma? That would be level 2 material. It's a whole well of self-inquiry and therapy and personal development, and it's really fun. So that would kind of be associated with air because it's mental-ish. Everyone cool on the first 2 levels? I definitely think the level 2 area of tarot and divination has become much more of a thing recently. Okay. Level 3. Yeah, working with thoughts. Hi, Rose. Hi, Deborah. I've become of my breathing the different parts of my being. For example, I think of breathing to my hand and can feel the breath there. Deborah, I'm really glad you shared that. You shared something really profound here. So if you're just arriving, I'm talking about the levels of tarot reading, the levels of self, and what tarot does and how it operates in these different levels. And then we'll get into some free readings. Deborah, you said something very profound about the breath, how the breath goes into your hand and you can feel it there. One might consider that to be the pranamaya kosha, the vital force part of the body, which I would consider to be like kind of in between level 1 and level 2. That would be like going into like the energy, right? So breath, life breath, prana, all these ideas stem around this life force that interpenetrates everything. It's not like gnosis, it's not like enlightenment, it's just a, an energy, right? And it's one might consider that to be a sort of glue or plane that exists in between the mind and the body. And if you go into yourself and you notice how your thoughts run like instantly, I mean, technically they run at 270 miles per hour to the muscles. That's how fast it takes. Your thoughts go to the body and the body reacts from those thoughts. You could feel the energy going through you, sometimes subconsciously, sometimes consciously, and then you take action. This is how closely related these planes are. So when I'm talking about these planes, everyone, it's not like they're miles away or you have to travel, you have to hopscotch the tree of life or go to Jupiter to find them. They're already here. It's all there. This is what I love about this stuff. All you need is your own magnifying glass to yourself to explore these. I was kind of thinking the same thing regarding the constant, but regarding my skin and body temperature. It's kind of related to the breath. Yes. Okay, cool. So Bruno and Deborah and everyone who's looking into that question, the homework question for everyone to get this session started is, what is that one thing that has always been constant that you never noticed that you would like to notice now? And it's actually really cool because Bruno and Deborah, you both answered with some sense of breath, or skin and body temperature. And your answers are very similar to the answers of this really cool dude named Brigu. Brigu is a character in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Brigu went to his father Varuna and said, "Dad, teach me the wisdom, I'm ready. Teach me about Brahman, teach me the ultimate nature of things." And his dad asked him, not the question I asked you, but he asked him to concentrate on Brahman and kind of figure it out yourself, got to go into yourself and look. And his first answer was body and food. And then he realized, oh, that's not the absolute reality. There's something underneath body and the food that makes our body. There is an energy, there's a life force. Oh, what's that? The breath. And then he goes into that and he looks at the breath and the energy. And then he realized, oh, that's not completely the body. There's something even more subtle than that. And then he realized, oh, it's the mind and the mental body. And then he looks at that for a while and realizes, oh, there's something more subtle than that. And then he goes even deeper. And then this is what I call the level 3. So level 3 is when we go beyond the physical body, the food body, the tower readings that concern where, when, what's going to happen, is he going to text me back? And we move on to the mental body, the energy body, where it's like, what is the inner experience connected to the physical result? Which is, what do I feel about this? What are the patterns? What is the recurring dreams? What are the symbols? How do I subconsciously react? How do I feel in my body about this? These things are more subtle and they're more powerful because they are the things that are driving the physical body vehicle. When we go into that, we have more control. We have more ability. There's more subtlety. We can look into more. And so readings like that would be like, I see this pattern, I see this energy, I see this symbol, I see this, and it's not as much in time space as it is in, the wells of the conscious and the subconscious. Okay. Then if you really analyze, really look into all of those things, all of the, like our thoughts, our dreams, our inner experiences, our subjective world. If you look into all of that with the subtlest, tiniest or biggest of microscopes, maybe, and really zoom in, they start to, you have to ask the question, what makes them up? Like what's making up all of this inner experience? There starts to come through this sense of just being, the sense of existence, the sense of, oh, I exist. This I center. This very profound, very pure sense of there, maybe this Cartesian moment of, not quite Cartesian, I think therefore I am, but maybe this subtle sense of, yes, I absolutely exist. And in that place, form really starts to break down, because once there is a form that shows up, there's an I exist because I'm aware of this thing. And then we're back into the second level, which is, what's the thing? Is it a symbol? Is it a feeling? Is it a pattern? Is it what is the thing? Is it an archetype? But behind all the archetypes, behind all the symbols, behind all of the meaning making and inner experience that directs the physical body into our karmic action and all that, behind all of that, there's this beautiful sense of, yeah, I exist. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a really nice place. And so that's what I would call level 3. And that's what the Upanishad might call Vijnana Maya Kosha, the knowledge sheath, that sense of knowing. And that might be, you can relate that to the word gnosis, that may potentially. And I would even relate that to when Plotinus was a mystic philosopher, brilliant, and he was so damn sexy, in like early maybe 400 CE, I don't remember, maybe earlier than that. But he started Neoplatonism. That was his thing. And he talks about this knowing nature. Again, remember, this is behind the dream. This is behind the archetypes. This is behind the inner experience that dictates our outer world. Behind law of attraction, behind what do I want in my life? I'm going to meditate on that. I'm going to trust that I already have it. It shows up in my physical world. You get it, right? Even behind that, there's this, I exist. But the cheekbones, Bruno. Yes, the cheekbones. He has these beautiful cheekbones. Yep. So in that, there's this place of I exist. But even there's this missing piece. And when you bring that sense of I exist up to a microphone, I mean, not a microphone, a microscope or whatever, when you look deeply into that, it starts to break down, because there's a contradiction. And the contradiction is, I exist, but who is aware of that? And Plotinus goes into so much depth with this. I forget which Ennead. I think it's one of his later ones, maybe 5. I don't know. He has 9 Enneads? Yeah, because it's Ennead. I totally forget. But it's in the later ones. But or does he have 6 Enneads? He has 6 Enneads. They're broken up into 9 pieces. I think it's the 5th or 6th one of those. But anyway, he goes into this, and it's really profound, and it's the game changer. It's the singularity. It's the point of no return. So when we're looking at something like the Ouroboros in the Magician card that eats itself, that continuous cycle that we interpret as eternity, or the cycle of life, or whatever, that one of the deeper meanings of Ouroboros, that eternal self in ingesting, is this third level, this I exist nature. And the I exist nature, there's a fun feeling, there's a bliss with it, but then there's also, it kind of breaks down. But that would be level 3. And the way you'd be like, okay, well, what's the practical purpose of all this? The way we would play with this I exist nature, this level 3, is when we start to look at all the cards, the tarot cards, not as a card you pull in sortilege for divination, not as a moment in time or space or symbol or even meaning necessarily. It transcends the conceptual meaning of the cards in relationship to you, and each card starts to become an image of you, but from a different kind of perspective. So it's when the tarot starts to get holographic. So the holographic meaning that the pattern of the whole exists in all the parts, right? So the tarot then becomes, each card represents one way to look at the whole being, which the whole process of the tarot becomes one eternal moment of self-recognition. So it's not about Joe anymore reading about what's happening tomorrow, how is this live going to go, whatever. It's about just what reality is, the sense of I exist, that moment of realizing I exist. And then each card, starting with the Fool is the easiest to understand that because the Fool is jumping off the cliff and it's spirit in search of experience. It's who am I? Who am I going to be? Who am I going to incarnate as? Oh my goodness. That same pattern of who am I? What is this existence that I am? Is the question of each card. The Magician asks the same question. What am I? Let me use these tools and manipulate them to try to figure it out. The Priestess asks the same question. What am I? Let me guard this threshold of the subconscious and the mysteries and go into this divine surrender of not knowing to know. The Empress asks the same question. What am I? Let me give birth to every possible organism on the world as Mother Earth, as Gaia, as love to figure that out. The Emperor asks the same question, what am I? Let me create a definition of myself to understand myself, which will manifest in law, authority, and all different types of things, right? And you get to the World card, and it's still, what am I? And it's the result of everything. And that same question of what am I brings you back to the Fool in the first place. So it's kind of this divinely selfish process of self-inquiry, each card. And the minor arcana are all about this too. And this is like a huge leap ahead of level 2, though, right? Level 2 is the Emperor is who am I, my ego, my personal ethics, my law, all that stuff, and how that exists within, right? Because that's an inner experience. When you have, that's not a good example. Let's use the Empress example. The Empress, for example, is the inner experience of love and diversity. Your ability to the Empress showing up in your reading on level 2 would be love, your ability to care, the archetype of the mother, Isis or the fertilized mother, the mother of all, like love, all these great things. That as an archetype that exists in you that you can work with. That's level 2. Level 3 would be how answering the question, what am I, through the diversity of the love of the Empress. The Empress, the diversity of your experience itself is the question of this I sense, okay? Does that kind of make sense? Jonathan, I love the way your brain works, Joe. Thank you for giving us a deeper perspective on Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Ali says, hey, so grateful to catch you live. Yay, me too. Yannicka says, cards can even have different feelings, meanings in all kind of moments. It's in you what shows up in the cards. Absolutely, Yannicka, that's so real. That is so real. It is absolutely in you. You know, I've been working with a lot of students from all different countries, and a lot of people, not a lot, but a good portion of people approach tarot like this really mysterious thing. But I really think it's nothing outside of you. Right? I don't think the cards have any magic outside of the magic you put in them. And when you draw them, they operate in one of these 3 planes. They operate in the sense of the divination. What is my body going to do in time, space, in the future, in the past? In level 2, what does this image say about my inner landscape, the patterns, the psyche, the thoughts, the archetypes, all that? And it's all already in you. It's already there, right? The card can't like literally, by definition, you cannot see in the card what doesn't exist in you. And then level 3, an expression of the I am nature. Bruno says, I'm kind of struggling that I and with the definition of ego while studying the Suit of Swords and getting deeper on the meaning to myself. Great question. So I kind of view it in 2 ways. There's the I nature of the ego, and then it's kind of like a lower ego and an upper ego. There's not really 2 different ones, but they exist in 2 contexts, let's say, depending on what the ego's doing. So the Suit of Swords, excuse me, I always get very gaseous, you know, because everything's just, it's the pranamaya kosha, it's the energy body, you know, on level 2, it's just like the air and everything is just, whoo. Level 2 is the I nature. Level 2 is the thought, and level 3 is the I nature. So the Suit of Swords is air, which relates to ego and the sense of self and identity. But the Suit of Swords is the capacity of the ego to identify, which makes it a little bit heavier and a little bit lower than the I nature that appears in level 3, which is water. So in all the Suit of Swords, you're going to notice in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, there's a lot of relationships between people and attitudes towards other people. because other people show you yourself, and it's like, what does my ego like or dislike about this situation with this person? Do I take the sword and like battle someone and hurt somebody and kill someone, or do I take the sword, put it on a boat, sail away, and help some people get across the river? You know, it's all our attitudes about people, which is ultimately our attitudes about ourselves, right? So the suit of swords is the best suit for a lot of personal development work, because it's just you that you're looking at anyway all the time. And so that's the ego in action, identifying. And so in the suit of swords, we say things like, I, Joe, I am a tarot teacher. I am a cool tarot reader. I am a cool YouTuber, right? That's the ego in action. But when you zoom into those identifications, whatever they are for you, we've all got them. When you zoom in and let the atoms start separating of all of that material, there's this pure sense of I that doesn't have an identification, that doesn't say I am this or I am that. When it's the pure sense of I, we start to move up from level 2 in the suit of air, the suit of swords, into the suit of cups, kind of. And we kind of begin to get this sense of, it's not really the suit of cups, but it's this pure I nature. And what happens there is the pure I nature, which has no identification, is itself an object to something else, which we're not going to talk about in this session. And there's a purity to it. And you know you're there because there's no effort, really. The effort is so subtle. Another way to look at these 3 planes is that there are 3 levels of effort. So in the earth plane, in the body plane, in the, if you want to call it the Annamaya Kosha, or the form, the feeling body, there's an effort. You have to get up, you have to move, you have to go through time and space to get what you want. And we all know with manifestation, there's a delay period. That delay period is things moving slowly into material, not even moving into, just kind of coming to us, you know? There's a little less effort in the mind, right? When we're thinking, we can easily imagine the thing that we want so badly, or the thing that we fear so much, it just turns on like that. It takes 2 seconds. But even in the mind, even in level 2, in the mind space, there's an effort. And if you're watching my live and you have similar karma as me, you're probably an overthinker too. Maybe you're not. I'm definitely an overthinker. I used to be even worse. But in overthinking, there's this effort, right? There's this trying to figure out the right and the wrong and right? The anxiety, it's a yucky mess, right? It's like the machinations of the mind are just churning. There's a heaviness to it. Not as heavy as the body, maybe, but there's a heaviness there. But when you go beyond that, when you pull away from all those identifications and meanings and stories which exist in all the archetypes and patterns and whatevers, then that pure sense of, oh, I exist. Compared to the other 2 planes, on level 3, it's the lightest place ever. It's just like air. I attribute it to water, kind of, but yeah. And when we're doing this, when we're using tarot for this purpose, we're not interested in what's going to happen tomorrow to us. We're interested in how even the experience and concept of tomorrow exists within us. It kind of turns it inside out a little bit. It gets into a little bit, I guess, maybe a little bit of a subjective idealism place. Not a solipsism place, not like a, oh my God, my mind is the whole world and that's it. Not like that. It gets into something else. Okay, cool. Anyone have any questions on that? We kind of covered like a good amount of stuff. Put your questions in the chat, and if you asked a question and I didn't see it, just put it in again. But I'm going to review these 3 planes. There, you can connect them kind of to the suits of the tarot, where the pentacles discs would be the body plane, where the plane and the energy body plane, and then in a way, the cups, also the wands together, they would be level 3, which is that I sense. And that I sense, you might connect that to Freud's libido, the moving forward of a subject to its object, the advance, and it is totally sexual, but it's also totally not sexual. It's like I would say cosmically sexual maybe, but like the pure curiosity, the desire to become, is in that sense. Okay. Cool. So what I'm going to explore today with you guys as I'm giving a couple readings is those three planes and how the tarot can play with those three. Because to be honest, I've been doing tarot for a long time and I love it. And I will always love giving readings, but sometimes I get a little bored with the plain one. You get bored of like people asking you things like, when's he going to text me back and stuff? All things that I've asked the tarot, which is totally cool. But, you kind of get bored of that. You start doing things like the inner world stuff and like, well, what is that? What's showing up in your inner world? What's the pattern? What's the symbol? What's the meaning? But then even that, sometimes I get even bored with that. And I'm like, well, what is this freaking reality? And then you're on level 3 and you're in the I exist state. And then all the cards become a testimony to that really deep, but really light, this very like kind of like unassuming, but like divinely curious sense of, yes, I exist. Yes, Melody. Yep. It all comes, that's my perspective. It all comes from within. And so there is, hey, Doreen, I don't know. I hope it's not my computer. It might be, but it might be yours because I think everyone else can hear me, but if not, let me know. Okay, cool. So if you want more information on these 3 levels and what you can do with them, that's kind of my whole curriculum essentially is starting in July, we're starting the 2023-2024 master curriculum, which is a year of courses with Tarot Mysticism Academy. And it starts with the level 1, which is predictions and tarot divination and all the really, fun, the more common stuff. You'll be doing all that in like a couple weeks. That's a tarot divination course. And then we start going into the more subtle energies when we look into the Kabbalah and Hermeticism and astrology and all these different patterns and correspondences and ways that we could analyze our own being and explore the subtlety of what we are and how that manipulates what shows up. So then there's about 2 courses that cover a lot of that material. And then in level 4, I'm doing a program called Mysticism for Misfits, where we go into the level 3, which is that I sense, that consciousness sense, where we go into philosophies around non-duality, monism. We go deeper into Kabbalah, deeper into Hermeticism. All types of things come up with that. We do a lot of healing work. We do energy work. It's a trip. But that stuff, when I say things like, this is the stuff you can't learn in books, this is the stuff you can't learn in books, because you have to just experience it. And I even can't give you the experience. You're going to give the student will give themselves the experience. I can only like give you the guides and like the marker posts and the signposts and whatever. But at that level, it's a whole nother ball game. It's like you won't even recognize the tarot. It's so freaking cool what happens at that level. But yeah, so that's Mysticism for Misfits. And then I'm going to be teaching a Thoth Tarot Mastery course after that brings it all together. So after you have that experience, you can bring it into something like the Thoth deck, which will act like, oof, that puts it on steroids and brings it into a whole new level. So yeah, if you're not signed up for that already and you want to, applications are open. Go to tarotmysticismacademy.com for that. And let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay, let's get into some readings. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask whoever wants a reading to put in a question, and put in a question, and I might ask you to rephrase it for your own benefit, but put in a question, and then I'm going to give a reading. But when I give the reading, and depending on what shows up, I want everyone to check in and see if it resonates for them. So there's the reading I'm giving to the person specifically, and then the reading that is kind of just for the whole group, and just notice what resonates. And it doesn't have to resonate. You can throw it away. But if it does, that's cool. Okay, so if you're on my Instagram feed, pop onto my YouTube, because honestly, meta sucks. And I'll give you a reading on YouTube. Masha asks, hey, Masha, so good to see you. I had so much fun. By the way, I have to plug Masha. Masha and I did this great interview. There's something coming up called the Aquarius Collective Summit. And you'll see it on my Instagram, but go search Aquarius Collective Summit, or Masha, if you want to share the link for everyone. It's this totally free summit where there's going to be a number of interviews with some really great people in the realm of personal development and spirituality, and just lots of really great questions. We had a great interview. We talked about the relationship between Hermeticism and Advaita Vedanta. And yeah, it was really fun. Okay, so Masha says, in what ways can I connect more deeply with the frequencies of abundance? Such a good question. Let's pull this out here. All right. I invoke thee, Iao, that thou send Haru, the great angel, set upon the operations of the secret wisdom, to lay the visible hands upon these consecrated cards of art, that thereby we obtain knowledge of hidden things. In your ineffable name, amen. All right, Masha. So Masha's asking, in what ways can I connect more deeply with the frequencies of abundance? So we're getting the priestess here. So silence, and you know what I'm getting with the priestess right now? I'm getting that whole riddle of the Sphinx. Like the riddle, the answer to the Sphinx, the answer to the riddle is silence. But more deeply than that, silence is not the answer. Silence is the result of the answer. Okay, so you can take that and apply it to the deepest levels of, mysticism, Hinduism, yoga, whatever it is. It's all there. It's like the inexpressible, right? Silence. So silence, this can be meditative practices, quieting the mind, following your intuition, which is not always necessarily quieting the mind, actually, but the subtlety in the simplicity, the silence, and in the simplicity and in the silence, in the vulnerability, there is a great deal of gratitude and wholeness there. So all the things I just said were very level 2, well, a little level 1. Notice how I said yogic practices, that's a level 1 thing. That's something the body can do in time and space. The more conceptual material that came up, the silence, the gratitude, that's level 2 stuff, right? That's what attitudes and things we can have in our inner world. And then the level 3 would be a sense of, it's a sense of grounding the I am nature in not knowing, in curiosity, but in not necessarily advancing. There's a passivity to the priestess, and her expression of the I am nature is one of stillness, is one of non-action. It's almost like not answering, right? How can I benefit from the difficulties I experienced this past year? Thaluth, that is a great question. I love that question, and I love your attitude. This one popped out for you, the universe card. So universe card is the last card of the deck. So level 1 reading, right? Physical body reading. This could be a move. This could be a transition. This could be finishing up with certain relationships, jobs, or commitments, like fulfilling the commitment and then starting on a clean slate. Those are all things you could do in the physical. So some of the benefits of the difficulties were to show you the finish line of some of these projects or some of these races or some of these endeavors that you had, job, relationship, or otherwise. Level 2, in the inner world, this is a sense of slowing down to release. Slowing down to release. So knowing the ends of things. This is a Saturn card. Saturn is all about endings. Saturn is all about the finiteness that makes the experience an experience, because there's no experience that can exist forever. If an experience exists forever, it's a constant and you can't experience it. Going back to the beginning of this whole session, right? So that would be level 2. Level 3 would be, this is the I am nature as whole and completed. So there is, in a sense, to bump it up to the level 3 that we've been talking about, this is the I am nature that is full and completed, needing nothing, just being, right? And that's really what all the cards are saying in level 3, but they say it in different ways. This card specifically shows the completed characteristic of our wholeness, right? Rose, for reading, could you tell me what I most need to know? Absolutely. If this is Rose, Rose, my student Rose, y'all, if you get a reading with Rose, you are lucky. She is good. If you're not my student, maybe you're still a good tarot reader. But all right, what could you tell me of what you most need to know? Okay, so the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups, I'm gonna do these 3 planes of reading. Okay, level 1. So first level, body and time and space, the physical body, and also in some ways our feelings and reactions to things. This is a card that's telling you to be a little bit judicial with how much time you are giving people with their emotional processing. You might be a natural healer or some sort of guide or something like that, where you like to help people, and that's good. But if you helping people in a balanced way, right? So boundaries with time and space with people, so you're not carrying so many people's shit all the time. Level 2 would be in the inner world. This is acknowledging your healing capacity, acknowledging you as the Chiron, the wounded healer, acknowledging you as the guardian, the shaman. Acknowledge that archetype within you and respect it, and in so doing, that will manifest as boundaries that support you and the people you're working with. And then level 3 would be the I am nature that shows up in the Queen of Cups is this would be like the eternal reflection of us as microcosms to always reflect the macrocosm in all of its horror and glory. Eternal reflection, and in a sense, only reflection. There's only that transference of experience between like energy, between bodies, between whatever. Yeah. Ivana, hi Joe, can I enhance my performance in my own business? How can I enhance my performance in my own business and offer better service? Great question. All right, let's look into this. Okay, Ivana, I'm going to go through the 3 levels with you. I might not do 3 levels for everyone because as you can see, it's time consuming, but I feel like it's really worth it. On the lower plane, on the physical plane, it's time management. It's also be careful of how you're investing your money or your time. We live in an age, AI is exploding, and so AI can do a lot of cool new things for you and may help bring down some of the costs. Yeah, just be careful of like subscriptions, hiring people, where the money's going, and time. From the inner world, this is the tension of, what is the word? There's this, and I feel this too. I'm totally with you because I have my own business. Sometimes there's this like, I don't want to say it's desperation, but time is always moving, right? And you have to allocate that in the best way to both serve your customers and keep you alive, right? So sometimes there's this tension where you're literally just pulled in all these different directions, and you have to kind of step in and deal with that, and find the boundaries that work. And sometimes the pulls and the tugs in all different directions, you have to make certain sacrifices. So I would be very curious about the inner tension of stress with time, money, and stress with like anything quantitative. Yeah. Does that make sense? So I would say optimization of time, money, look into automation, look into hiring when necessary, but really make it work for you. Alessandra says, my question is, how can I fully materialize the business I'm building in a successful and aligned way? I love that. Oh, I love these business questions. You guys are getting my Capricorn sun all excited. Okay, so let's see. Alessandra says, how can I move the business I'm building in this? So we're looking at the star. So this is a big online card for me, not just because the Lenormand star means like internet, but the star card means internet too through its attribution of Aquarius. We're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is all about systems, groups of people, large networks, and things happening fast and far. So I would say an authenticity with your marketing and a joy and curiosity. This is me talking to myself. This is me projecting, but I'm always trying to find like authenticity and fun with marketing, social media and stuff, because it's like, I'll tell you what I tell my professional readers mastermind. The marketing and the communication, the branding, all of that stuff is just the tail of the comet of you. You are the comet, you are the consciousness, you are the creator, and whatever you're pulling in from whatever planet, entity, or inspiration in your own subconscious, the marketing is the tail of that, and it just flies right off of you. So let it fly off of you and have fun. Okay, next question is what should I move on to next if I have been consistently performing the pentagram, hexagrams, and middle pillar rituals? Oh, okay. Well, I can give you like maybe a technical answer and then I can look into the cards. But if you've been doing pentagram, hexagram, and middle pillar, if you've been doing, let's see. I would say it depends on like the system that you follow. Like if you want to pull open the big black brick of Israel Regardie, the Golden Dawn, and see what those like knowledge lectures say to like do, you could follow that. But there's different magical systems and curriculums that you can follow. I always say it's a good idea to follow your intuition. But if you're already doing hexagram and you're following like a kind of tree of life thing, and you're around working with planetary magic, then maybe the next step is looking into the abyss and seeing what that might be for you. Yeah, it depends on the system, but let's pull a card for that. The sun. Okay, well, this is saying planetary magic. This is hexagram rituals. So I would say keep enjoying that. Maybe there's ways to further develop that or further your planetary magic. And yeah. Please tell me how. Oh, wait, I'm missing one. Antoinette. What about Tarot of Holy Light? Oh, I love the Tarot of the Holy Light. That's a cool one. Please tell me how Alec feels about me. Hey, Ciara, let's look into what Alec feels about you. The star card is there's a mutual respect you have for each other. I'm wondering if this might be a long distance thing, or you might be feeling that one of you is making distance from the other. I think you both admire each other and respect each other, but I always see star as a card of being single. So I wouldn't expect relationship from Alec anytime soon. Now, if I were to take this and move it to level 2, move it to the mental energy body, I would say that Ciara, I would ask you to look at this card. And I would actually ask you could write it in the chat if you want, what this figure is feeling or thinking. And what if this figure had a message for you, what would it be? And in my mind, there is a vulnerable self-examination that you may be going through, which hopefully it involves a release of something from the past, which allows you to more clearly see yourself and allows you to more clearly see the path ahead. And it's a path you generate yourself. It's self-generated and it's almost self-evident because the path ahead is who you are. That's the star card. The path ahead, it's not like, well, what's your next step? What's your 5-year plan? You don't have to fabricate any of that shit. It's who you are naturally. And if you can take a really close, and this takes time, it's not going to happen overnight. Take some time to sit with yourself, journal out what would be the most fun thing for me in the next year, and let it show itself. It's going to be a natural extension of who you are. And then indulge in that vision and enjoy it. And that's the essence of the star card. That's why the star is attributed to, well, in this deck it's attributed to Hay, but it's attributed to Zadi, which is attributed to meditation. So, right? That would be the level 2 answer. Bruno asks, what do I need to change to have a better relationship and communication with others? Kind of always let my ego take the wheel sometimes. What do I need to change to have a better relationship and communication with others? Kind of always let my ego take the wheel. Okay, I love this question, Bruno. So, all right, let's look into this. I love the way you phrase this question. So we're looking at the Queen of Discs. So the Queen of Discs for you, I'm going to give you the level 1 answer, and then if maybe shift into the level 2 and level 3. Level 1 answer is be more of a listener. That takes more time in communication, and allow yourself to feel the things as they come up in conversation and to really see the person you're communicating with. And notice when the mind comes up and says, I like this, I don't like this, and just notice it and be like, it's okay, it's cool. I'm just going to observe this person. I'm going to be with this person. That's the level 1 answer. Take more time in your communication. The level 2 answer in the kind of subtle mental body with the Queen of Discs, this is all about the neshama and the intuition working with matter. This is all about the way that we can naturally see the harmony of the diversity in nature and how we can help either continue that harmony or complicate that harmony or elaborate in that harmony or screw it up, right? So whether we're polluting and messing it up or whether we're planting trees and supporting that harmony, all of that exists in the Queen of Discs. So she's kind of like she sits atop this throne and she sees the oasis starting to form. And so this is the archetype of it's a little bit of a motherly archetype. It's a giver of life, but not forcefully. It's an allowance with the capital A, allowance. So you might ask in your connecting with other people, what allowance can I be to create more opportunity or something like that? What allowance can I be that would allow more freedom, fun, and contribution right away? Or what contribution can I be in this? Like if you're going out with friends, if you have plans, before you go out with friends, run this 100 times in your mind. What energy, space, consciousness, and choice can I be to be the most contribution to this group of people, right? And then the level 3 answer of the Queen of Discs, the level 3 answer would be the I am sense, underlying all of that, underlying all the possible choices you can make within that reading, there is the I am sense is revealed in the diversity. So from a larger perspective, whatever difficulties or tensions that may come up in your relationships and communication, even that there's a bliss in that. There is a diversity in that. Whatever, when you don't click with someone, when there's hiccups in conversation and communication, that points to certain differences. If you're not on the same page with someone, that's not a bad thing. If you're not on the same page with someone, it means you're making a whole book. You're on 2 different places in the book, and that's allowed, right? So there's, from a mystical sense, we can enjoy the diversity of what may feel like a challenge. Okay. Does that make sense? Melody asks, what part of myself is most reluctant to be integrated? Ooh, that's such a good question. What part of myself is most reluctant to be integrated? Okay. Part of this is the inner child. I mean, so is it for everybody, right? We're all integrating our inner child. If you're incarnated, there's something in your inner child that if you came incarnated through parents, there's an inner child thing that has to be integrated for everyone. But it's an aspect of you that indulges a little bit. Maybe there's a fear to indulge or a fear to enjoy or a fear to be curious, maybe, but it's a part of you that says yes. This is a level 2 reading. See how I'm going right into that? Because it's a part of you. You're asking a level 2 question. This can manifest as certain relationships and certain experiences, and maybe certain things you enjoy, certain foods or alcohol or whatever. But in the inner world, it's the part of you that says, I think I would like that. I think that would be nice for me. Boom. Whenever that shows up, give that some space and invite that. Masha says, I've been returning to my Nyasa and Kundalini practice, so the high priestess really resonates in the meditative moments. And yes, cool. Passive earning, Deborah Brady says. Passive earning. Oh yeah, is that like passive income? Totally. Inga says, hi Joe, shall I engage with this specific person? Is this engagement lover my energy? Ooh, okay. Shall you engage with this engagement? Okay, Four of Swords. On the lower plane, I'm seeing good conversation, but I'm seeing both of you not say certain things you'd like to say. On the inner plane, I'm seeing a sense of, what's the word? A sense of mediation and a sense of compromise that you're willing to make for this person. So I would say they're not perfect for you right now, but it's not bad either. So I would say have no expectations, but go into it and enjoy it. But I could see several moments where it's going to be like, you might feel like you're biting your tongue for something. Jonathan says, I'm going to do a couple more readings and then we'll start to wrap up for today. But we'll see. But let me know in the chat if this material, so today we looked at the 3 levels of tarot reading and attributed them to some of the koshas and the Upanishad and some of the parts of the soul. If this is something you're interested in, put in the chat. If it's not something you're interested in, there's something else you want content-wise, put that in the chat. Tell me like if there's a class you would like me to teach or a topic, put that in the chat because I am planning to do some more regular Sunday lives and maybe we could turn them into mini classes or something. But a couple more readings and then we'll wrap up. Jonathan says, last week on Saturday night at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, I was asked to be the tarot reader for the Art Mix event and gave 45 plus readings in 4 hours. Wondered if I am meant to be a seer. Jonathan, that's amazing. 45 plus readings in 4 hours is insane. I would say based on that alone, you definitely are, if you're not meant to, you have the ability. But I would say absolutely, if it feels fun for you, let's pull a card for that. That's a lot of readings. 10 of discs, yeah, I would follow it. This is, a good financial result. Yeah, this is also not just money. This is wealth. So maybe you can turn it into a whole thing. Maybe you could run your own events. Maybe you could start a whole business. And yeah. Hi, Tina. Oh, I lost my place in the chat from the UK. Love your work. Oh, thanks so much, Tina. Thanks for being here. Gloria says, I need spirit's guidance on what I need to see and realize about a past relationship and an old friend who still appears in my dreams very frequently, and I need to know why. Okay. So Gloria, we're looking at the 3 of Swords. So 3 of Swords is a card of the experience of mortality. Notice how I use those words. The experience of mortality, not mortality, the experience and interpretation of mortality, which literally mortality, but more broadly speaking, endings in general, or the mortality of things, the mortality of relationships, the mortality of the chapters of our life. This card is saying that maybe there's a great feeling of loss or grief, or you miss this person. Typically this is our heartbreak card. But yeah, I'm going to give you 3 answers, and I'm going to use this as a reading to go through the 3 levels. So level 1, the physical plane, the body and its automatic reactions to things and our feelings in a way. In this level, we are the body. Let me read your question again. So it's a past relationship. So this is somebody who is not physically in your life anymore. That's the card, right? On a physical plane level, the person is not there anymore. And so there's an end to that relationship, that story. Level 2 is the inner world. And this is just the human, this is what we've all signed up for in incarnation, which is a level of grief, a level of letting go. But the grief of the Three of Swords is not, it's not necessarily a Five of Cups situation where there's the ego involved and there's an attachment. It's a natural process. So whatever that process is for you, letting go, which may include dreaming about this person, that's allowed. You know, I've worked with clients where they have certain relationships and that person stays in their dreams for years, or sometimes it stops and then like 10 years later they pop up in their dreams and the feelings come back. My thing with that is, whatever you're dreaming about, be curious about and recognize that the feelings associated with this person are none other than you. By definition, the feelings you have for someone are your feelings. They are your whatever. So if you feel like, and there's like stuff like, you know, cord cutting and clearing and all of that can be useful potentially, but it's the Three of Swords is claiming the feeling, owning it, and in a weird sense, having gratitude for it. Because and this leads to my level 3 answer. This is the I sense. So if you were here for the beginning of the session, I went over the 3 levels. The I sense of the Three of Swords is a sense of I depart, or it's a sense of I release. It's a profound sense of having experienced something and then not experiencing it. And the lack of the experience is evidence of the immensity of the experience, right? And we can have it's the ability to say, oh my God, I got to experience that, and I'm experiencing this now. What else can I experience incarnating in this being? And I didn't go into the letting go, the methods of letting go, right? Which is through intention, and there's a lot of tools you can use for that. But if they're still showing up, that's kind of a mystical view of it. Irene says, my question is, how can I better connect to my feelings? Often I don't know exactly what it is that I'm feeling, and the reaction to it is later. Oh, that's really, really interesting. So a couple of things here. Let me pull a card first. Six of Swords is the Six of Swords for me in this moment. I'm seeing you rationalize your feelings a little bit, but sometimes that can be a tool to let them come up, to allow them. Sometimes we numb ourselves, like just subconsciously, you know, there's like, sometimes we choose to not be aware of a feeling or an energy, and that's allowed. It's a capacity, it's a choice. There's nothing wrong with that from the large scale of perspective. But yeah, Six of Swords is allowing yourself you know what it is? It's a little bit about letting yourself be a little bit selfish in a way. It allows you to put yourself in the middle of everything, not because you're selfish or because you don't care about other people or you lack compassion, but because you are centering in on yourself and you're bringing the focal point to your own mind, body. And by doing so, you are letting the body feel it, what it's feeling, literally on the body, but also letting the thoughts come in conceptually around the situation from your own point of view. So grounding is kind of what I'm saying. Essentially, grounding into yourself is big. And the Six of Swords, the reason why I'm getting that from the Six of Swords is because the Six of Swords is the centerpiece of the Tree of Life. It's Tiferet in the world of Yetzirah. It's the heart of the world of concepts and the blueprint. And in a sense, it's kind of like the center of the level 2 plane that I've been teaching today. Jonathan says, amazing how many of these readings have resonated with me. Oh, yay. Oh, thank you so much. Hi, Joe. I've been watching you for a long time. Thank you so much. How will this specific, I'll do 2 more readings and then we'll wrap up. How will this specific relationship develop in the next year? So the Prince of Discs, this is interesting. I actually see Prince of Discs is a relationship that is very like, I don't know if this is not for everybody, but there is this kind of subtle archetypal shift in relationships where when you're young, you are always following the intensity and the feeling, and there's a tendency for people sometimes to enjoy being swallowed in the fervor and the passion of love and relationship, and in a way it's romantic love, but it's also the eros love, the sexual attraction, and like having that, taking all your energy and bringing it into one object of adoration. We do that for a while and it's fun, and we still do that to a degree in our relationships, right? That part of the reason why relationships are important is because they're a sort of meditation. You take someone, you take someone and essentially focus your love and adoration to them. It's like a mantra, but extended over a certain period of time, and it deals with another unit of consciousness, which is really beautiful. What I'm seeing for you with the Prince of Discs is either you or the other person is shifting out of a fiery, passionate love and into I want to actually take someone and prioritize them to a degree and let them be a focus of my adoration, and that will be a benefit to both of us. And in that, it's not so much of a, oh my God, it's more, there's a peace with it. The relationship itself becomes a sort of mantra and a focus, and it reveals more of you to you. So there's a stability in that. It's and the Prince of Discs is very practical, and so I'm getting with this that there's a logical thing with this relationship. You might both be thinking, are we a match? Like, what could this look like? What do we enjoy doing together? What do we enjoy doing separately? And kind of going through the boxes of what you're looking for, which is good. But the Prince of Discs, he's air and earth. He's not the Knight of Cups. He's not like going to jump in and get swallowed by the relationship. He's not the Knight of Wands who's going to come in and go out and just. It's the Prince of Discs is much more stability, much more longevity. Okay, cool. Was that two? I think one more. Would you mind doing a video? Bruno says, sorry, Joe, can you very quickly recap the Brigu. Okay, so Brigu, So Brigu, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Brigu goes to his father Varuna and says that this is a very poor, horrible, I'm trying to relay this story, and I'm not doing it justice. You would have to go to an actual Swami for this, for the real thing. But for the short plot is Brigu goes to Varuna and says, hey, I want to learn the nature of reality. I want to know Brahman. And Varuna, his father, tells him to concentrate on Brahman and meditate and really concentrate. And when he does that, he discovers that, and everyone, if you all did this, you would probably, I think you will find a very similar thing. When we ask the big question, what am I? Not who am I, but what am I? You might be like, okay, I'm skin, I'm body, I'm bone, I'm all this, and I'm the food that's coming into me that is making my body last, right? So I am food. And then you hang out with that for a while, and then so Brigu goes back to his father and says, it's food. And then the father says, no, look a little bit deeper, concentrate more, meditate more. So he meditates more, and he's like, oh, well, what is food made up of? And then he discovers it's made up of energy, life force. And then he brings that to his father. That's not the answer. He goes and meditates more. He discovers that underlying the life force, there's the subtlety of mind, the manomaya kosha, this mental sheath. And then even further than that, there's this I sense. And the I sense, which is the Vijnanamaya kosha, is this knowledge sense, this knowledge of being. And this another, maybe, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but there's this I sense. And then underlying that, there is bliss. There is the Anandamaya kosha. And that actually brings us back to the bliss of being, which is what I titled this session. The bliss is not ecstatic happiness. It's not like, like crazy. I wouldn't say it's like a devotional ecstasy that you might see in certain bhakti practices, though maybe it is, maybe it's related, but it's like a bliss of really deep peace, like infinite peace. And when you really interrogate that I center, that I-ness. For me, the question that I ask to go beyond that is what does this show up to? What is this made of? And underlying that, there's this profound bliss, this bliss of being, of existing. And that's like that's a part of the Taittiriya Upanishad. But yeah. Okay, so I want to thank everyone so much for coming. And this was really fun. Just to go over a couple things, if you're interested in this work, going from tarot divination, level 1, going into the level 2, which is the inner world, the archetypes, the symbols, the correspondences, and then going beyond that into level 3, into the I nature, into the holographic tarot, into everything from Parmenides to Plotinus to Golden Dawn to beyond. I'll be doing that starting in July. The whole year curriculum starts in July. So this time I'm not doing it course by course. It's the whole year. You can sign up for one course only, but the application period is happening now up until about probably July-ish. And then we start July 17th, and we'll be going from level 1 to level 5 for about a year. It's a lot of stuff, but it's honestly really, really transformative, and it's my favorite thing ever. And yeah, this stuff, like, literally it transformed my world. It's helped transform the world of many of my students and clients. I'm sure it can transform your world as well. And the coolest thing is it's nothing outside of you. It's just what you are. It's just radical self-inquiry, and it starts with tarot divination, and quickly we turn up the heat, and it accelerates from there. But yeah, if you have any questions on the master curriculum, let me know. You can hit me up in the chat bubble at tarotmysticismacademy.com. If you want to look at the details of the courses, go to tarotmysticismacademy.com, and yeah, you can look at that. And yeah, if you have any, I'm going to look over the chat after I end this. But if you have any recommendations on content or questions, shoot me an email or use the chat bubble, and I'll try to make some things. Thanks so much for showing up. I love you all, and I'll probably see you maybe next Sunday, or maybe another live or something.